You're not recording? Okay. We'll call the community meeting, informational meeting for the Dielman Inn feasibility study to order. First, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I feel this is very important for the future of the town, to bring life back to New Windsor economically, and this is the first step of that project. Just a little history. I won't go into all the details of Dielman Inn and the town's involvement. However, there was a community meeting, I believe back in 2010, where the family made a presentation, showed some designs of possibilities of restoring Dielman Inn. Then it was offered to the town of New Windsor, and we felt that that was too much money at that time. Then on January 5th, 2011, the council, by a vote of 3-2, decided to purchase the building with the agreement or the stipulation that the town was not going to spend any money to restore it. Now, there have been some costs in the meantime for insurance and some maintenance and some upkeep. The appraisal value at that time was $260,000. The family donated a portion of that, and the town purchased it for $174,500, which the family agreed to receiving 10% at that time of settlement, which I believe was February 2nd, 2011, and then the remaining balance of 90% was due on July 1st, 2012. After that time, we put it on the market, tried to find some potential buyers, investors, and didn't have a lot of success. We had a lot of lookers and a lot of people with great ideas, but those ideas they wanted the town to fund, and that was not going to happen. Then we got involved with the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, which Mr. James Castle from that department is here tonight. He recommended that we put an application in for a feasibility study, and we were awarded $40,000 from the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development for the feasibility study. We put that out to bid. There was 3 bidders, and Bushy Fight Moore Architects, which Aaron back here is going to make a presentation. He's going to go through the presentation, and then after that, we will answer questions to our best of our ability, either myself or Aaron. But right now, Aaron, if you'd like to start your presentation.
Sure thing. First, good evening. Can everyone hear me? All right. My name is Aaron Petteronetz. I'm with Bushy Fight Moore, as the mayor said, and I'm the director of design there and the project manager on this feasibility study. So a little bit of an introduction to the team that we put together to do this study. BFM, which is the prime architect on this project. We're the team leader, so everything comes through us, and we have a fairly large list of experience on doing these sort of projects. We provided that to the town, and hopefully that put some questions to rest. Paula Reed and Associates. Paula Reed we've worked with before. She's a architectural historian. Again, she is very experienced and an expert in this. And she has done a historic analysis on the building, and we will consult with her as we go through the process. The third and sort of unique one was Ridgecrest Investments. We approached them not as an investor, but as a informational source. So they'll be doing market analysis and financial analysis on the options that we eventually come up with based on your comment and our input. And we'll go through a couple projects that we've worked with either Ridgecrest or Paula Reed on that are examples of successful urban redevelopment. This one is in Hagerstown. It's a little under 50,000 square feet. It was a shoe or sock factory, something like that. And it was owned by Goodwill as a processing plant. When Ridgecrest bought it, it was, as you can see on the left, in great disrepair. And with their investment and some unique spaces, it's currently almost probably a little under 90% leased, and it's reshaped that section of town. It's across from a rescue mission, not the best place, but with the investment and some faith with the city, it's starting to turn that block around. This is another project we worked with Ridgecrest on. Again, this is a Hagerstown sort of filled with these old vacant factories. This one was occupied when Ridgecrest bought it by Action Products, which builds or makes gel for seat cushions and things. But they ended up moving out of town, and so this building became vacant. And same story with some creative investing and a partnership with the city. It's on its way to being about 50% leased right now, and it's still under renovation, but going floor by floor. Again, not in the best neighborhood, but as an anchor, it starts to really reshape the downtown of Hagerstown. The library, again, this is on a larger scale, but we worked with Paula Reed on this project, and it was a renovation of the existing library. It doesn't look much like what it did before, but with her help, we were able to maintain some of the historic structure of the building and get through the process of recording what was there and then going into new construction. And again, as a focal point for urban redevelopment, it's this cornerstone of downtown Hagerstown. And these are some feasibility studies we've done. Top left is for a expansion of the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts in downtown Hagerstown. That's a rendering to the left of the building there. We worked with the city of Hagerstown on trying to lure the Board of Ed to move downtown, which they ended up not doing, but again, we did a pretty extensive feasibility study for that with area, cost, renderings, whole 9 yards. The bottom left is the Maryland Theater. They're looking at expanding their current facilities, and that's actually a project that's in process. And then bottom right is a office building that the city is trying to lure investors to build, and they're actually moving forward with that this week, we just heard. So again, a lot of success with the city government in partnership with private developers, bringing a lot of this to life, not just lines on a page. They actually are making a difference and building these projects. So hopefully we can provide some real information with this project. So briefly, I'm just going to go through sort of the steps that we proposed. The first 4 there are sort of what we've been through and where we are now, and the last are what will happen in the future. So for this presentation, we've conducted the field survey of the existing conditions. So we've been through the whole building, measured everything, drew everything up, did some preliminary analysis of structure and general condition. And Paula Reed and I came and went through the building again with a historic survey in mind. And she's produced a list room by room of the defining characteristics, what dated things, what's important, what's not important. And that can provide a pretty good guide for where to go from there. We've prepared the existing drawings, so we have floor plans and elevations, and the public survey, so everyone got their postcards, and we've received those and sort of gone through those. So the next step would be to, based on the input from town council and the public and our analysis, we'll come up with 3 options for redevelopment. So of those three options, we'll complete a market analysis, conceptual plans and elevations, sort of what I showed you on the last slide, and cost estimates and financing options. This is where the partnership with Ridgecrest is greatly beneficial. And then we'll prepare a complete report, which will be given to the town and the state, I believe. Or no, just the town.
Yep.
So that's the process we're going through. So briefly, I don't know how familiar everyone is with the building. I'm just going to go through a sort of visual tour. So lots of pictures were taken. So I'll just walk through the building. This is the exterior, just going around the building. I think everyone probably has seen the outside. So we'll start on the first floor. This is just, again, the general condition and some of the historic features of the building. A lot of what Paula saw was original flooring, original woodwork, a lot of molding and mantel pieces. So those items were the significant parts of the building. I don't know if I'm blocking anyone. You can see some parts of the building that it's in greater disrepair than others, but that also let Paula see some of the bones of the building. So you see it helps her date things and adds to the historic significance of it. Same thing upstairs, general conditions. This is in the attic. That isn't the ceiling falling in there. Those are dormers letting light in. Now, in the newest part, which is that wing to the back, which was the apartment, that's in the best shape. And so, at some level, that's almost move-in ready, but depends on the use. Some of the existing woodwork and all the beadboard and everything like that, it has value and character and historical significance. And this is the site. It's central to New Windsor. It is large. It has the potential to be a focal point for growth. The plans we created, the colors I'll walk through. The red was the first part. Paul believed it was a tavern. We don't have the actual deed history, but the existing, the original tavern room, the log construction, led her to believe that was the oldest part. The orange was an addition, and then the lighter orange to the right of that was added on again, and the yellow, and the beige, and then the blue. And so you're looking at construction over 100 years, from the 1790s up until the early 1900s. Same thing on the second floor. In the attic. And these are all large spaces, so there is definite potential for many different uses, not just an inn or residential. And the elevations. These are just examples of how we're going through and documenting the building and preparing for the options. So again, I'll just repeat, some of the historical architectural significance is built in 6 main sections over 100 years. As I showed the pictures, a lot of the woodwork and brickwork and molding are what adds to the, not just the age, but actual historic significance of the building. It's a lot of original work there. And real quick, that's some of the straw matting and linoleum even in the building, while not original, is old enough now that it has some sort of historic significance. So the existing conditions, like I said, it's in various states of disrepair. Anything that goes in there would have to address some of the structural issues, some of the hazardous material issues, but nothing that's not overcomable. upgraded utilities and mechanical systems. These are all things that need to occur for a modern occupancy. Gross floor area, like I said, it's a large building. It's a little over 11,000 square feet. So that adds to the significance of it for the town. It's not just one row house. It's a large structure, and a lot of it remains. It's in an original state in most of the buildings. So it does have it's not just square footage there to be developed. It does have some historic fabric within it. And the lot itself, the lot's open. There's availability for parking and a park, or there's all sorts of options there. So there's a lot of flexibility in what we can do going forward. The public survey. Well, I didn't go through it and break down I did do that, but for this presentation, we have sort of a summary of the comments. It's a little small here, but I'll go through it. The largest portion of the comments were some sort of commercial use. So that was 78% of all the suggestions were for some commercial use. The smaller parts, 9% wanted to demolish it or create a park or a parking lot. 6% were some sort of institutional or government use, a museum or town hall or community center, something like that. 4% suggested residential use, so apartments or turn it back into houses, something like that. 3% wanted to just sell it outright, get rid of it, not worry about it. And breaking down the commercial into various parts, 28% of the commercial suggestions were for some sort of retail, so shops or art studios, things like that. 25% were for some eateries or restaurant or taverns, things like that. 4% hospitality, so convention center or turn it back into an inn. The remainder were for some kind of office space, so 11% were just general office, and 10% were professional services, so doctors and lawyers and pharmacy, things like that. That will have some questions.
Question. What's the total acreage of that lot?
What was your question again?
What's the total acreage?
Total acreage?
You have a nice lot, but I was wondering how big is it?
Couldn't tell you.
It's Franklin?
2 acres. It's about 2 acres of open land. And we had, 77 responses to the survey, I think?
Yes, something around there. I think there was over 300 individual ideas. So.
Yeah. Good. What's that? Half an acre? Yeah. Okay.
I think it's more, that's gotta be more than half an acre.
Seemed like it was more than that, but
Yeah, I think it's more than that.
yes.
Now, I hear that you want to hopefully bring shops in there, maybe a restaurant. But where in the world are you going to park the cars for that? Because you do have a lot that's small. But 31 is a busy street, you got the restaurant, that parking is taken up. Where are you going to park the cars to bring people in, shops and restaurants? Where are they going to park the cars? And I'm not being a pessimist, but I'm realistic. Because it was a beautiful building. I'm sure that to renovate it will take a lot of money. And I worry about that because our town is small. We only have 535 residents here in the town. with all the improvements that we have to make in the town in the next year or the following year I mean, we have to take care of our streets, we have to take care of mitigation of stormwater, we have to fund new taxes, whether they should be raised in 15 or 16. And we want the town to really understand it. But as you can see here, and I even went to our association and told them how important it is to come to these meetings and voice your opinion. You can't do it when it's too late. It should be a conversation that we're all having, because it will affect us. I mean, we now have a water bill that's $300 a quarter, and some of the people are elderly in the town. So what my concern is, if we find an investor that would be willing to renovate it, but I hope the town is not assuming the responsibility financially to the renovation. I just don't know how our town could do that. I mean, I don't want to see it to be raised, but I've been in it, and boy, it's in bad shape. And it's got probably a lot of material in there that has to be removed. So I'm troubled about it, and I want to feel good about it, but I am concerned. Because I live here, and everything we do, we're an old town, costs lots.
I'm supposed to repeat the questions, and I'm not going to be able to repeat all that. Hopefully, CMC was able to pick most of that up. You did, good. You had multiple points there. As far as financial aspect, other than administratively, I don't see us putting money into it. The agreement when we bought it was that we would not put money into the rehabbing of it. The state of Maryland, Jim, you can help me out here. James, sorry. If we can show X amount of jobs that will be created there, say 20 jobs, and they use a figure of
$35,000 to $50,000 per job for the grant. It has the potential for grant funding.
right.
And I'm in no position to have a problem with grant funding, but I came and visited the town. The mayor took me to the property. I've been here several times and met with members of your council on several different locations. I walked in that property and I loved that property. We were able to get our DBED representative, Department of Business and Economic Development representative down here. He met with the mayor. And we liked the property. We liked the concept of the project. We didn't hesitate to fund the feasibility study. The question is, and you gave realistic some points, and we want to be realistic too. Is we need to also know how much money we're talking about. You know, is it a $5 million project? Is it only a $1 million project? Is it a $2 million project? You know that. So our study is leading us in that direction. If the town moves forward with the project, they will create a grant application that will come to us. We want to be in a position where we let you, the leaders of the town, and you, the residents of the town, figure out what is the best use for that property and to come to us and ask. I don't think the state should be in a position to put any pressure on you to go with what use you want for that property. But there is the availability of grant funding, and we're just trying to establish exactly what kind of costs we're talking about.
And let me continue with your comments there a little bit. And I know this isn't cut and dry by any means, but if we can get $750,000 to $1 million from the state, that will entice developers. My thinking is, let's just use the figure $2 million to renovate Dielman Inn. And I don't know if that's close, but that's what we've estimated over the last couple of years, talking to different people. That means, developer would have to come up with $1 million. Then would be eligible to apply for 20% state tax credit, 20% federal tax credit for restoring a historic building. That's 40% off, and basically, if I'm correct, they pretty much cut you a check for that 20%. And I guess federal is pretty much the same way. That's not guaranteed money, but I really think with the assistance of the state, that would go through. So someone's $1 million investment now comes down to $600,000 investment, and to have a $2 million property ready for revenue coming in for $600,000, I think that it would entice interest in developers. I do have one individual that I won't announce, but he's shown a lot of interest. He's well respected here in Carroll County, and he's very interested in taking the project over. If it gets to the point where, and I had this discussion with James tonight, let's say it's $3 million and we can't make it happen, then that's a decision the council will have to decide what to do. Whether it would be, and a lot depends on what BFM comes back with. They may say, take down the wooden structure. Councilman Knoll here has suggested possibility of tearing down the wooden structure that's in bad shape and rebuilding with a facade looking like it is today. That might be more economical. Whether or not you would get your tax credits when you tear down something, you probably won't. So there's so many different options that to be able to tell you what's going to happen, it's a little bit too early. However, bottom line is, unless the council were to make another vote, which they have every right to, but I don't see them making a vote to put a lot of money into this. So.
Is the restrictions for the, like I know in some counties, square footage and how many businesses you have, you have to provide X amount of parking spaces to accommodate that. Now, how are we going to do that? Because I'm sure when you get a building permit, they will want to know, maybe if we get a better idea of what usage could be. But I know in several counties that they look at it and they say, well, if you have X, Y, Z, then you have to provide X amount of spaces for parking.
I believe, Frank, that's a county requirement, or is that ours?
And it's really a simple process. If you mentioned, for example, open space on that lot for parking that would meet any prescribed amounts in our code.
Okay.
Because you got that one slide in there that shows the open space.
It isn't very large though.
Oh, yes.
It is quite large.
Mhm.
There's 2 lots.
2 lots.
And you have the barn that could be torn down for more parking, or that barn could be used for something else.
I don't know if you, but there's a pretty good open space.
There's actually quite a
Providing
bit.
ample parking is not going to be an issue with this site.
So this is the building here. And this little part here, and the whole site, this is the entire site here. So you're looking at a significant amount of open space available.
Just under a half acre. Just looked it up.
So there is room for parking. You had, Calvin?
Well, actually, I was going to follow up, because I'm assuming that in the feasibility and stuff, that would be one of the things that we brought into it also, parking capabilities, and if there was commercial, because a lot of commercial traffic probably come from the town, but obviously it's hard to bring in beyond the walking traffic. And I'm assuming you all would have that done as you move along.
That's sort of the main point of the feasibility study. This is just the preliminary, this is what's here. But once we get into the various options, we do a detailed analysis and sort of that first step of design. So you figure out what you're going to put there, how much money it would take, what the market will sustain, what the site can sustain. So there are all those factors that play into it. So that all that information will be laid out and explained.
We use before the court, when you do get that, however, does ever get the, who does all the pushing out to find out who can, going out to get the businesses to want to come in and set up the businesses? Who's doing, having to go out there and grab them?
That's usually the developer.
Developer, and hopefully it's one of those, you build it, they will come. You know, I mean, I really do believe if that was restored 100%, people would really want to be part of that and open up a business. I can't guarantee it, but I just, 1790 building restored, I feel people would really push to be in there. Sharon?
Well, I was wondering how you choose from all suggestions that were made as to which three you're going to create a feasibility study on. I mean, project a possible layout of the building.
First thing is to ask your elected officials and for some direction, but again, breaking down the public comment, it's pretty clear that the majority of the comments were some sort of commercial use. So a lot of those types of uses have very similar implications. So we sort of have to, you don't go the whole 9 yards with every single option, but you test them out. So you say, okay, we go down so far and this one's not really working out, so let's try the next one. And of a larger group, we'll come up with 3 feasible options. Does that make sense? Okay.
Building also could handle multiple uses.
Correct.
You could have a restaurant on one floor, commercial space on the other.
One idea from this one individual that's interested is an upscale restaurant on the inside, and then on the outside, little shops that you could enter from either inside or outside. While you're waiting to eat, you could go in the little shops, whether they would be open 7 days a week or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, depending on the business and the amount of traffic. Yes, sir.
I live on the other side of the brick building, and I gotta say, I love the Dielman Inn. I see a lot of potential for the future. I'm one of the youthful members of the community, excuse me. And I really would hate for it to not, remain there. I'd like to see it be turned into something, for the community that everybody would be able to go to, and it would also bring outside business. And I had suggested the idea, since Windsor is in a food desert, since we have to go food shopping to a different zip code, to turn it into a community type of farmers market, since we have 15, 20, who knows how many farms with their local produce, homestead markets, and bring it all to one local spot, so it knocks out New Windsor being in a food desert, and we have a place to go get local products and produce, and still have space for the restaurants and everything else. And that was my 2 cents. But I think there's a lot of potential. I used to live in Ellicott City. There's a very similar layout with parking and streets. And what Ellicott City would do is just have satellite parking lots. I mean, it's a very walkable town. There's sidewalks, and plus the other restaurants, Uncle Maddie's, and Bellissimo's, and help their business out as well. And I'll probably be living here for a long time, and I see there's more youth moving in, and I've been talking to them, they would love to see it stay intact and become something useful to the community.
That's our goal, when the council first purchased it and I recommended it to the council, I had ideas of possible our town hall there, our offices, a town meeting room. Didn't really have anything off the table, that was, as long as it was respectable, of course, but in order for a developer to make money out of this project, which is going to be his bottom line, a town office may not be feasible, but we're looking at all kinds of options. We also have to be very realistic about this, that if it is cost prohibitive, we're going to have to go to Plan B. I would hate to see it torn down, but that's a huge lot there. You know, just in ideas, you know, I'm great with ideas. It's the funding that I'm not great with sometimes. But if you ever been up to Bucks County, Pennsylvania, Peddler's Village, that would be, I think, an ideal type of place there. Maybe you could have 10 to 20 shops there. You know, there's always ideas there. I still feel the property and the location is very vital to revitalizing New Windsor, bringing people back into town. Our goal still is to refurbish Dielman Inn. It's where we were founded, and I think that's critical to our history and our heritage.
To your point with the lack of food markets, part of the study is a market analysis. So we will go in and say, look, there's a need for this particular use, not just this would be good here. There's an actual market for it, and that leads to the actual feasibility of it.
And we have pursued trying to get grocery stores to show interest in property on the Hibbert property. Unfortunately, we don't have the traffic or the population, even with Union Bridge and New Windsor, to make it real attractive, but doesn't mean we're going to not keep trying. So you also have the Brotherton Service Center that has a lot of potential, some land there that could possibly be a grocery store, other options there, a lot of opportunity for parking. Do we ever have a shuttle bus that shuttles people around on weekends? Tawnytown has one. You know, if it's cost prohibitive, we don't do it, and we encourage people to walk.
If we don't have enough business or enough people come to visit the grocery store to buy groceries that everybody needs to have, what is going to draw the people to town to participate in these shops to buy things? Because New Windsor is basically a bedroom.
Mhm.
The people who live in the developments, I know if I was in a development and when I did work, I would get my products on my way home from
Mhm.
work. So when I got home, there wasn't anything in Windsor I could use. So we're going to have people coming to this town, and how are you going to get people to come and take part in all this business?
Well, the difference between a grocery store and little shops, your profit, I guess you will say, is a lot different than a grocery store. Your overhead is completely different. If you have 50 people, maybe 25 people on a Friday or Saturday going into a little shop, that could be huge for a little business, depending on what they had. 50 people, 100, whatever. And again, the big picture, and then that's what I'm looking at, and there's, you know, I don't have the perfect answer, but I feel that Dielman Inn and the Brotherton Service Center need to be our two key components. I really feel confident that you'll see some action at Brotherton Service Center, bringing people back into town. And when that happens, you know, if you have 100 people there on a weekend and they decide to walk down in a little shop, 100 people on any particular day, will that happen? I can only hope it will. And that's what I'm planning for.
Providing the Brotherton Service Center has somebody come in and take that over, because that's executive downtown, I understand. So we may have a big spot this end of town, we have a big spot in the middle of town. There's more than 12, 15 homes in New Windsor that are for sale.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not against having what you're saying, but we need people that's going to patronize it and help pay for things, because the town people can't pay for it.
It has to be a destination place. You know, the Mayor mentioned a restaurant. Yeah. A normal restaurant is not going to make it. It has to be a destination restaurant that somebody wants to come to New Windsor for this restaurant because they have a good reputation, they have good food, they want to come here for a special meal.
And leveraging the historic nature of the building will help too. It's a destination in and of itself if it's restored correctly and becomes a
And
destination.
none of that's easy. There's no easy answer, but I think we're all in agreement that, you know, that's the diamond in the rough of the town. And that can really move the town forward if we do it right. And we're trying to do it right with this feasibility study, and not just throw money at it. You know, what's our options? If they come back and say, you know, developer can't make money off of it the way it is and the demographics, then we'll have to look at what else we can do, because it is a valuable piece of property. The town's not going to lose money. We can sell that property as land and make money.
But then why haven't we sold these for sale here?
Well,
Well, the reason, what we were doing, we weren't going to sell the property, just sell the property.
Right.
We wanted to sell it to a developer that was going to, within a certain period of time,
Develop it.
3 to 5 years, develop it. And we weren't just going to sell it to somebody for the land. I mean, the lots itself were,
so we did have some restrictions on it, because and that's why we wanted to own the property, so we had to say, or a lot of say, what went in there. And we didn't necessarily want to change them to 30 apartments.
and then we really took it off the market because we didn't want state people coming out and saying, all right, we're going to help you, but wait a minute, you got it for sale. So, you know, we had to kind of take it off the market so that we would show them that we're making a commitment to restoring it. You know, to give you, and I'm not saying we'll ever be like other towns, but give you an example, Newmarket. Mealy's, back in its day, was a destination spot, mainly because of that and also the antique stores. Now I think they're down to about 3 or 4 antique stores there. So, you know, the younger generation aren't interested in antiques probably.
Means it's closed.
Yeah.
It's been closed.
But at that time, when you had Mealy's and you went there and you said, okay, you can eat here, but it's going to be an hour wait. You didn't mind because you went to little shops, went in the antique stores, looked around, then came back in an hour. We need, like as Kevin said, destination to be a destination again. And there's other things that, you know, are on the horizon. I just can't talk to any extent about it. I will say that I believe the Brotherton Service Center will be on the market within a month or two. There are several potential buyers that want to do some things there, bring a pharmacy, doctor's office, a gym for the public, a swimming pool, a restaurant, a hotel setting, and there's all kinds of options there that I really feel the two of them, once they're working together, will make New Windsor a destination. Sharon again?
Well, I have to say that, you know, what brought me and Josh to this town was the architecture of the town. I mean, I didn't grow up here, but I came here because I love the buildings of the town. And I think we need to capitalize on the great things we have in this town. We have this beautiful architecture and the Dielman Inn being part of that. And we also have an incredibly famous artist who lived here. And, you know, I think if we can capitalize on some of that, we can go at it from an art standpoint and maybe make it a community center for arts and music and dance and that sort of thing. I know I have a 14-year-old son, and I'm always running him into Westminster for guitar lessons, and everything he does happens in Westminster. And there's a lot of kids in this area that if they had access to taking guitar lessons there, or music lessons there, or dance, or art lessons, or whatever it is, they could, you know, come to New Windsor and do it here. We could have gallery spaces there, and I think that kind of thing in conjunction with the incredible beauty of the town and the surrounding area, I think that could be a hook that is maybe being overlooked. Also, Union Bridge has a rich art background to it too, with the Reinhardt family that lived there, and it can go in conjunction with that. And I know that in Newmarket, I have a friend I work with who lives in Newmarket, and they're trying to revitalize their downtown area now. They're doing like first Thursdays every month, and I've been to a couple of them, and they're getting a pretty big turnout for those things. So I'm just thinking maybe we need to look at some different avenues besides doctor's offices and things like that, and capitalize on what's here. I mean, it's the incredible beauty that makes it such an incredible town to live in.
But we're not overlooking it. I'll let you know that, due to the fact that the Karen's family have made a commitment to donate some paintings from Frederick Dielman. Also, that connection, the art history of Dielman Inn, the background, the music, and the paintings is hopefully going to be critical in 2 funding sources that we will be approaching. One is in Colorado, if you read between the lines there, and the other one is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So there's some family ties there and some former community ties to that, and we will be using the arts for our funding applications. So we haven't, we're looking at everything.
Okay, and I mentioned to Kim too that possibly you could be in touch with the Carroll County Arts Council and see if there was any help they could give in grant writing or even, working together with us on some aspects of it.
And we have a grant writer that's looking, constantly, she's looking due to the fact that she makes money when she writes grants. So that's kind of a plus for us because she's doing the research and looking everywhere. Department of Housing Community Development has been great with us. We still have to, look into the Maryland Historical Trust for funding. So I really do believe we can make this happen without tapping into our resources, which we're going to have to do. So the big question will be how much do we have to tap into? Possibly one of these 2 outside sources may say, hey, here's a check for you. Make it happen. I do feel we will get something from those resources, but I'm not sure what, so.
It sounds really exciting. It's just, I've heard so much talk about the mold and lead paint, and I just have the feeling that the whole inside is just beyond repair, but.
Well, anything before 1978 has lead paint. My house,
Every
1920.
house in this town probably has lead paint.
Almost everything in Old Town probably has lead paint. I like to think I turned out okay. That's probably questionable with some of you, but there's also grants for that, and we know we did put a bid out for that, and it was pretty extensive, but there's a lot of building there. But that's just part of the restoration project. But I don't think there's, I've yet to see any mold. I'm not saying there isn't, but really for the shape that the building's in, I don't think there's hardly any water damage when you walk through there. I don't think there's any asbestos. I don't think there's any pipes that are wrapped. Probably no pipes in there to start with.
That's saying about an old building that is breeze.
Free, yeah. Breeze, yes. So, I mean, is there dust? Oh, yeah. So, but lead paint, we know about that, but anything before 1978 has lead paint in it. So, that's just will be part of the process, hopefully.
And if I could, I wanted to echo on the councilman's statement that the state's just not going to throw grant money at this project, just to throw grant money at a project. Grant funding is your tax dollars. So when this grant application comes in, the folks at DBED are going to look at it to make sure it is a feasible economic project. The folks at DHCD are going to do the same thing. And I think what we would like to see in the very end is that commend the city for originally buying the property, saving it from further decay or a private buyer buying it and tearing it down. You preserve the historic structure. To put a viable commercial business in that building that would then bring tax dollars into the town, to the county, to the state. And then I think that the emphasis that I've gotten on a lot of the comments is that the citizens don't want to be burdened with any cost of that. And if you do look at grant funding as your tax dollars, the recoupment of those tax dollars is that future tax revenue off of that use.
Yes, sir.
There's also crowdsourced funding like Indiegogo and Kickstarter that the community, even Maryland, whoever can take part in it. If it's, they can donate however much they want. And it's a simple online site, you just post what your project is. And you'd be surprised at how many people invest. They add $5 here, $10 there, $100 there. And it can really add up. It's a big surge right now with a lot of small projects getting funding on a large scale. Everybody who's on the So that's another option for funding.
Great. And we're also working on an agreement with the Greater New Windsor Committee. They are a 501c3 corporation that if somebody, once we got this project going, wanted to donate to it, make a contribution, they would donate it to the 501c3 for tax break, and then they would cut a check to the town of New Windsor. So we're looking at a lot of ways to make this happen. And we're open for other suggestions. You want to write a check tonight? Town of New Windsor, Maryland. Yeah. Calvin.
I might add, just as a newcomer to the town, it would be like a world of shame if something like that historically, we were reading, that was to be flat and easy to 82. Once you've done that, you can't go back.
Right.
There's so much that we can find just reading about our house and everything else in addition to it. That would be such a beautiful nucleus to, like other towns, several towns around the nation that had an old town that wasn't doing anything for long, and then got that spark. And all of a sudden you brought all kinds of culture and history and everybody just stretching their chests and saying, look at our town and enjoying it. And that's what I mean. It's an absolute shame that
And I don't have any numbers in front of me, but we are looking at our tax rate. Hopefully, in another week or two, a legacy grant. We'll hear back from that. We applied for $265,000 to fix up 4 streets in New Windsor. So what I'm getting at is that would probably help delay a tax increase for who knows how many years. No guarantee on that. However, what I feel this is doing is looking at the future so that the income, we increase the tax base, we're looking at Tibbetts, but this is just part of it. Right now, we get 0 from the Brethren Service Center because it's a religious facility. Whether it's a private, we'll get taxes off of that. People coming in, spending more money, we'll get revenue from sales tax and different things. So that once we increase all that revenue, then we can start doing other projects without having to raise taxes. And without it, we're probably looking at tax increases. So, it's just a process that we're looking at to help the future of New Windsor, because without it, the water and sewer structure, the rate structure right now are really in a good shape. I know it's hard for people to pay sometimes, but it is, when we look at 20 years out, we are probably going to be one of the better towns in Carroll County financially. I know that's hard to digest maybe, but right now we really have no surplus year in, year out for capital projects to fix up the roads. The highway user fund is very little compared to what it used to be. We used to get about $90,000, which went a little ways. You could fix up repair a street, repave every year. But what is it now, 20, 30, yeah, about a third of that. So it doesn't go very
And
far.
it was less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was about
It
75.
dropped 90% in 1 year now. With a new governor, will that increase? And hopefully you voted to lock in the transportation fund so that the highway user fund comes out. That helps us in many ways so that we don't have to raise taxes to repave the roads. You look at our streets, side streets, they're in the alleys, they're in pretty sad shape. So hopefully we get the legacy grant, whether we get all $265,000, but I feel we'll get a good portion of that, and that maybe be able to help offset. We can do that every year, every other year. So we're always looking at grants, but the bottom line is we need to increase, in my opinion, our tax base without putting a tax increase onto the citizens. That's how I see it. If somebody else has a better plan, I'll listen to it. I mean, I've lived here all my life. Some of you have lived here quite a few years yourselves. Another lifer back there, 2 lifers back there. So, we care about the town, and, we're not doing this to destroy anything or put a financial burden on anybody. We're trying to bring life back to New Windsor, make it a destination where, other businesses, we have 2 bed and breakfasts that could probably be doing a lot better. And if we had the people coming into town, and especially little shops, I encourage everybody, believe it or not, to go to another town, and that's Berlin, where they were voted this past year as the coolest small town in America. They have probably about 50 little shops, and it's a great weekend getaway or one-day trip to just show what I think can happen here in New Windsor. Will we get to that point? I hope so. That's all I can. No, at one time, I think it's Mayor Williams down there, he and I talked, and at one time a day, if there was a car going through Main Street, it was because somebody took a wrong turn off of 50. Now, it's the coolest small town in America. Will we be there? That's what we're striving for.
We already have the cars.
Yeah. So we just need them to stop and spend some money. I'd like for the citizens in New Windsor to support the local business more. One local business says, his business is about 10% from New Windsor. If it wasn't for people from outside New Windsor, he wouldn't be here. So, we all can help out a little bit. But if you have ideas, we've had all kinds of ideas, and doesn't mean that any of these ideas will be 100% guaranteed that would be part of the project. If I'm putting in $1 million, I'm probably going to put in what I feel will go. If it's, it would be helpful that, with a survey that you go with those things, knowing that the people in New Windsor supported those things. But so coming up with those ideas and then supporting those businesses once they're built is another step.
A number of years ago, I came across an article in Historic Preservation Magazine. I think I passed it on to Wally, that was town manager then. But it was about the vast need for data storage facilities. The government and large corporations need places to store your information. Just recently, there was something on the TV about how much space the FBI takes up just storing all everybody's photographs and fingerprints. So, there's a possibility that, it could be used for something like that.
And
Not for building, it's part of it.
Right, I understand. And there's some ideas that I have that I don't want to be made public because I'm afraid another town will grab it and run with it. I'm a little greedy, I guess, but I got a couple ideas that I think would be fantastic, but time will tell. But, that's how maybe cocky I am, but I think it's a couple of great ideas that I've talked with a few people, and they say, yeah, that would be great, but I just don't want another town saying, yeah, we'll do it before you.
Mayor, I'd like to mention that New Windsor's not alone in similar projects, and I'm the project manager for the Washington Hotel in Princess Anne, which is right around the same age. It's in a little better condition, but still needs a lot of work. It received $570,000 from DHCD. It had private investment of around $350,000. It's just applied for another grant for $500,000. So at the end of this project, you're going to be pushing about $2 million. And it's the gentleman who runs the Robert Morris Inn. Now, he's looking for an in use. because that's what he does, hospitality. But we just went through the hazardous materials removal, and when you're standing there in a building, and it's completely, the ceiling's falling down, and the walls are all on the floor, it's hard to see that vision, but when that gentleman walks through the door, he's like, I don't even see that, I see this completely finished, and he's just energetic, and I think you're going to find, I hope, and I think you're going to find somebody like that for this project.
And the Washington Hotel, that's actually where we all, I guess, this was born, because I contacted somebody in your office, and they put me in touch with the town manager, I think, down there, and then, talked about, gave me the numbers, as James just said, about the funding, and actually the lady that did the grant writing down there, Valerie Mann, is our grant writer. She's down on the shore there. She actually lives right around there, and she's been doing great. She knows what took place at the Washington Hotel, what needs to be done, and she actually did our Sustainable Communities application, which allows us to open doors for other grant opportunities, and she's been writing the grant. She wrote the grant for the feasibility study, so that's probably where it all began, on looking for grants for all this. They have a few more businesses right across the street there. They have a few shops. Right. Right. And Washington Hotel was probably still active, 10 years ago, maybe?
Probably should have been.
Yeah, but it was still, so, I mean, where most of Dielman Inn hasn't had any activity for 75 years, probably, if not longer. They did have some activity, so there was probably a coat of paint here and there, where Dielman Inn, unfortunately, is in, yes?
Does this building have dirt floor or cement? I was wondering about the foundation, what shape is the foundation?
Pretty sad. Now, I will say the brick buildings, the two brick buildings, one is right along High Street, and then the other one is where Julia lived. I'd say they're in pretty decent shape. The wooden structure foundations are the stone where the cement, you can crumble. Most of us that have old homes have probably something like that. The store had it, it was a good foundation, but the cement mortar had just kind of crumbled.
I was wondering if they were going to have to start the foundation, all the way up.
Most likely.
Not reading that well enough.
Oh, no doubt. Will it be 2 million? Will it be 2.5? Will it be 3 million? No idea at this point. We did have a pro forma done by a company out of North Carolina that came up and took a look at it, and I think they estimated about 1.5 million. Now, that's been 2011, no, probably 2010 when they did that. So 4 years, and you figure 5 to 10% increase per year. Nothing gets a whole lot cheaper. So, but the foundation, I mean, some of it is 1790, and probably, most likely, probably nothing's been done to that foundation since 1790.
The state grants and the tax incentives help to offset some of that cost so that it becomes more on par with the new construction, and developers will look at it then.
And we have to. We understand that a person who is profit-driven is not going to go into that property. That's why the government funding becomes important.
I have a question. Do the other properties around, the church is on one corner, but there's multiple apartment
Do those other properties affect
Um,
project
I
on?
don't think so.
As in,
No, I mean, there's no impact from those other projects.
Well, the one on the corner, the apartment complex, that's up for sale.
Yes.
yeah, the ARC apartment, ARC store. But I would think, living around there, I would love to see something happen there rather than a vacant building.
It's been cleaned up a lot.
Yeah. So,
I was just wondering, how some of those outlying things have an impact on the central.
I mean, hopefully, there's a lot of activity there, a lot of foot traffic. But hopefully, that's a positive thing. I mean, there's possible potential over where Ken Mar's Corner, Brownies was, however long you've lived here. That's an open space. I don't know what will happen with that. There's potential there. You could have a little park. You could have a couple little tiny shops there. All kinds of possibilities. Anybody have anything else? We will keep you posted. Hopefully Donna will have the PowerPoint presentation on our website along with Community Media Center's taping of this on our website, so if you want to watch it and look at the PowerPoint. And I'm not sure when our next meeting will be, probably
To be determined.
to be determined, but I'm sure it'll be after some of those things about the next to last slide where the 4 or 5 steps, once they're completed, then we'll have another informational meeting. So bring your neighbors, whoever.
Is there anything that the community can do right now to help with the project moving forward?
Spread the word to have people come to these meetings, really.
I think, be supportive in the community and just, I think that's a big.
31 units.
I would like to add that one of the biggest things you could do is when they do make application, there is a place in the application for citizen support. So your letter, every letter we get, we write or we read, and it goes into the thought process of awarding that grant. So the mayor and the council let people know, solicit the letters.
And maybe even spread the word a little bit. There's so much misinformation out there about this Dielman Inn. It's one of the reasons that I decided to even run was because I believed in the project before I was even involved in voting on it. I think it's a wonderful idea. I'm like you two. I'm relatively new, comparatively speaking, to the people in the room. The people that have known that inn since they were children, like Neil, and obviously Neil has a family connection to it, but other people that have known it since they were younger and have loved it, they loved it for that reason. Us newer people have come in and found the historical significance of it. Those that have taken a tour of it, they fall in love with it for the the architectural design of it and the historical significance of it. We love it for that reason. So spread that word. If you hear misinformation out there, tell your neighbors they're just simply wrong. There's so many, and we all know what some of the misinformation is, that some of the town council members and the mayor is going to pocket money out of the deal. It's just not happening. It's not what it's being done for. But you'd be surprised how that spreads like a cancer, and that misinformation has to be stopped. So if you guys are behind it, or even if you're not behind it, if you believe in the idea that the mayor and the council care about the town, we're not out to destroy it, we want to see something happen positive there, spread that, and that can also spread like a cancer in a good way. And I think that's the biggest thing up here is we do have people that have been here all their lives and they love this town for that reason. And there's been people that have moved here and fallen in love with the town. And I think that if that strength of that combination can get together on this and stop some of this nonsense that's being perpetrated out in public for people that don't even come to the meetings, I think that would go a long way. Bringing the letters so the state knows that there's a town here that cares and that wants to be viable again will certainly help with the funding, I would imagine. But I believe in this project with all my heart and soul. I think that can be the absolute centerpiece of this town, and it can start all good things. We don't have people coming to New Windsor because there's nothing to come here for. And we're not going to get those people until we have something for them to come here to. And this is the start of it. That's my 2 cents.
Well, first of all, if someone has any questions, I'm probably one of the easiest people to get a hold of. My phone number, email, it's real easy to get a hold of. So I love talking about the project. So
Maybe we can have speakers go to some of the organizations, like the Lions Club, tell them about what's happening, and get them all excited about it, you know?
I like that
Because,
idea.
people, just if it's raining, they won't come to our meeting, if they won't come, because I really tried hard.
you could have ice cream and cookies and they still wouldn't come. They still wouldn't come. So it just, it would be nice to have 50 to 100 people here.
They should come.
Well,
We're glad you all came.
yep,
Well, maybe there's a way that we could have speakers go out and promote.
I'm willing anytime. That's my job, so I'll come out to the village.
Yeah, that would be.
I know the president of the Lions Club.
Maybe to some cheap game at, our walk and that might be a way of reaching people also.
And newsmakers at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, I'll be doing a segment on streetscape and Dielman Inn, along with, not to get off topic, but I'm kind of looking forward to this at our November 17th Town Council meeting, because we switched meetings from tonight to our work session night on the 17th. It's Maryland Municipal Government Month, and we are having 7 8th graders shadow myself, the council, and our town attorney. So, and that will also be on CMC. They've been outstanding covering key events here in New Windsor, getting the word out. So come to that meeting on the 17th, 7 o'clock right here. Hopefully we'll have about 100 people here that night. So last year I went to talk to the 8th graders to become a banner town through the Maryland Municipal League. That was one of the requirements, and this year I decided to do something a little different, and the 8th grade teacher has been real supportive. The school's been real supportive, and I think it'll be pretty cool to see the students sitting next to us and maybe overshadowing us. I don't know. But this is your town. This is your project. We're just the elected officials that are representing you the best of our ability. But without your input and your involvement, it's a tougher road. So we greatly appreciate your support being here tonight and look forward to it continuing. Do I hear a motion? Do we need a motion to adjourn
Not
the
a real
information?
meeting, no.
We're good. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Jim, for coming.
No problem. No problem.
Hey, Calvin and Sandy.